And welcome to Rune Reviews, Rune Recaps. It's a show that we do on occasion, excuse me. And normally I don't do these things alone. Today we got my brother from the ThreeFifs Podcast Network, my man Ljay. What's good with you, brother?
Man, how you living? How you living?
Man, I'm well, bruh. So for those that are unfamiliar with Three Fifths, I always like time to explain what their podcast is, some of the shows. So if you could, bruh, go right ahead.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Especially appreciate it at the front end, so people can't just be like, okay, I listened to the show. Now I'm just gonna hop over. No, I appreciate that being at the front end. But no, ThreeFifs Podcast. It's me, my good friends. Went to their wedding, and I've known them for going on a decade now. But it's myself, it's Eric, it's Ash, it's Bree, and we talk about life, talk about current events, mainly focused on politics and the political happenings of the world and how that relates to our black asses on a daily basis. It's a bi-weekly show. That's the main show. We also do interview shows where we talk to some of our friends in the industry, some people doing really interesting and dope things, and just things that we want to raise awareness on. And then because it's my show too, I do things that I want to do, including Rolling 12s, which is the tabletop series. We talk about different tabletop games. We play different tabletop games. We are actually finalizing the edits on season 2 of our horror-themed tabletop series. So be on the lookout for that.
Oh, we're going to talk after the show.
Okay.
We're going to talk after the show because we're supposed to be doing something together, and y'all didn't when I had another season and you holler at me. Okay.
No. The thing we're doing hasn't happened yet. I need to work on some. No, trust me. That I didn't forget about what we're supposed to do. That's still happening. I just need to nail down a time. That is called a tease.
That's what we call in the industry a tease.
There it is, because we're professionals on this end. But nah, man, it's fun. It's interesting. The thing we're working on now that we're putting the edits on is this is Eric's baby. Eric created this world. We just live in it. And, going back through and listening to the decisions and choices we made, we might be, listen for yourselves and find out what kind of predicaments we put ourselves into.
2 teases in one promo, man. That's the industry vet right there. That's how you do it. So we're going to be talking about WandaVision, the first 4 episodes, and we are going to be talking about spoilers. So, the first 4 episodes, by the time you have probably hear this, the 5th one will hopefully have been out. So, you've had time to go ahead and watch. But WandaVision is probably one of the most ambitious things Marvel has done on multiple fronts. So before we get into anything, Ljay, what's your relationship with WandaVision? Did you, I know, but did you, know about the characters beforehand? Did you read any books to kind of catch up?
I was reading House of M while it happened.
Okay.
So, yeah. WandaVision, they're very interesting characters in the right hands. They're very interesting characters. I absolutely adore Tom King's Vision run. That's how I got introduced to Tom King. And he's just phenomenal.
So it's all, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that Vision run, bruh, that
hands down the best comic to come out that year.
That year. It deserved everything it got, straight up.
And I understand why DC threw him the big bag and said, no, yes, you're in charge of Batman now. Yes.
Forever. Just never leave us, please.
And he's so good. What Tom King does really well is intrapersonal, right? Hickman, another one of my favorite writers, Hickman is great at world building and long form storytelling across a vast platform, right? Covering multiple characters, multiple threads,
multiple books if need be.
Right.
Tom
King is really, really good at the intrapersonal deep dive into a character.
His Batman and Catwoman run, bruh.
yo, I need to start Batman and Catwoman, but the lead up to that, which is Batman, yo, it's perfect. Like as I was reading, I was like, yo, this is great. Like I have not felt this way reading Batman in a very long time. And he just gets the character.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I'm not even a big comic book head. Like on the Nerd Off, I'm usually the one that has the least to say about comics. It's not that I don't read them. It's just that I read them in a way, I read them like manga. You get me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a little different. So I sometimes have to go back and like, oh yeah, let me go back and, because I started Powers of 10 and House of X. I think that I can't remember which one.
Yep. House of X, Powers of X. Yep.
Bruh. Yep. I had to ask on the last Nerd Off a couple weeks ago, like, am I dumb? Like, I don't think this is supposed to be this difficult. I'm really confused right now. But so far, that book has been amazing as well. And guess who's writing it?
Again, they just gave Hickman the keys to the X-Men and said, cool, do what you want. And Hickman said, okay. Well, yeah, sure.
See, the thing is, those X-Men remind me of my X-Men.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was around for the gold foil covers and all that, like the 90s, the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, that's my X-Men. And this book feels like that, and I'm very excited.
My dad still has his foil cover copy of the Phalanx Covenant issue 1. Mm. So yes,
is that the one with Leandra on the front?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hey, that's how you know that was impactful, because I am not a comic book dude, and I pulled that out of the air. Like, ooh, I know that. So
when you say that it reminds you of that, yes, no, like what Hickman is doing, it feels new but familiar at the same time. It's just, he's so good.
So that's been our nerd minute. See, this is the thing about when two nerds that talk on other shows happen to get on shows together. We just start talking, and not about the subject usually. So let's get back to it. So you've had a pretty interesting relationship with WandaVision. Obviously, you know the characters, you read comic books. But can you imagine, and I want to come from this perspective for a while, can you imagine if you never knew anything about these characters and tried to sit through the first, I don't know, say 3 episodes without that fourth one coming in? Like, say you're just a normal, I'll go see Black Panther, and maybe I'll go see Endgame and one other movie. Can you imagine sitting through the first 3 episodes of this? I can't imagine it.
So that's the experience that, I'm watching with Tiff, and that's sort of her experience, okay, right? Yeah. Like her knowledge of WandaVision is like offhand comments or jokes that, we make around the house, but doesn't really have the history, but there's still a level of enjoyment there, right? Like one thing Marvel has done really well with their TV and movies is they reward you for knowing things, yes, but they don't punish you for not knowing things, right? So like Tiff has no idea of House of M outside of what now is the pop culture zeitgeist, because now that's a thing.
Which is wild.
Right.
But continue.
But she still got an extreme level of enjoyment from the beginning of WandaVision, to the point where she was like, yo, I need more. Like I'm compelled by this story. I would like to know where this goes. Because what Marvel has done is they've made you invest in these characters. Like, you don't even have to have seen all the Marvel movies. If you just have a cursory knowledge of Wanda's story in Age of Ultron or Wanda's story in Endgame and Infinity War, then you that's enough, right? Like, if you just know Vision exists, Vision came from the Mind Stone in Ultron, that's enough. And you can still get a level of enjoyment from the show. You can come into, I don't want to say you can come into the show blind.
I was going to say, for
actually,
me,
with Disney Plus, you can. You come to the show blind after an episode, will say, hey, Would you like to catch up on this knowledge here?
Age
Here's
of
Age of
Ultron.
Ultron.
Hey, when they did that at the end of episode 3, I said, "Boy, you motherfuckers!" Excuse my
Right.
language. I was like, "Oh boy, you can't miss, man." And they also have the, I think they're like 2-minute episodes that explains their history. Have you seen those?
I have not. I've
It's
because
wild.
Disney Plus, but like the Legends things will pop up like, oh yeah, here's a brief history of WandaVision. I'm like, yo, that is wild that they can do this. Like Age of Ultron came out almost 10 years ago, I want to say.
Yes, and now here's this story thread that we're picking back up from 10 years ago. Here you
Right.
go.
So I can imagine someone watching this having not even seen the beginning Marvel movies. Because think about it, if they're 20 now, they were like 10 when Age of Ultron came out.
Yeah, God. Yeah.
Right. So I think what Marvel is doing with the show, just on a playing with the source material, that's another thing Marvel does really well, especially with Captain Marvel. They played on your comic book knowledge and used that against you.
Absolutely.
So while I am worried about certain things, I'm trying to remind myself, yo, this is a thing that Marvel Television has done. They say, okay, cool, we're going to tell this story, but we're going to put our twist on it. Like even with Secret Warriors on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they took a lot from the Secret Warriors storyline, but they put their own twist on it. So I'm interested to see what twist they put on the WandaVision story. I see them pulling from a bunch of different things. I see them, surprisingly enough, thematically pulling from Tom King's vision.
Yeah,
except
there's a lot of Tom King's vision in there.
Except it's Wanda instead of Vision.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Like,
and Vision is the surrogate going, hey, guys.
Vision is effectively Viv in WandaVision. God,
such a tragic story. Anyway, look, y'all should, even if you don't like comic books, y'all should go read that run. It was really good. I'm kind of in the same boat with you, LJ. Like, I feel like you could come into this pretty foreign, to like the concept of Marvel in general, and still get some enjoyment out of it. So let's go talk about the first 3 episodes, because I believe they deserve to be talked about in a bunch, right? Like, I think it was very smart of them to release the first 2 episodes together, because you needed that whole hour to get accustomed to what we were about to watch. What was your take on the first episode when we went really back to the 50s and early 60s with the Dick Van Dyke and Leave It to Beaver, and kind of like that weird time frame, that Nick and Night time frame? What did you think about that?
Well, as a kid who grew up in the Nick and Night era,
hey now, we are a certain age, people of a certain age,
right? Grandma and Grandpa have been on Nick at Night. I think they captured that era of television really well, and then just presenting the episode, especially those first 2, not really giving you what's going on, but sort of just doing the hook is, hey, we're capturing television through these different shows. It just happens to be with 2 Avengers.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And that was enough of a hook for me, because I'm like, okay, this is really interesting. There's some really funny moments until the end of episode 1. And I'm like, oh no, this isn't funny. Something is terribly wrong here.
So I agree with you. But I believe also, especially in these first 2 episodes, which are filmed before a live studio audience and Don't Touch That Dial, which both of those, it just fit the episode so well. In the first episode especially, they use this a lot, where the laugh track is just there. Like, they just throw the laugh track in at random spots, and it's very uncomfortable, especially in the first episode, when the boss comes in. They have dinner. It was, chaos ensues. It really reminded me a bit of Bewitched, in a lot of ways, just because of Wanda's powers and things like that. And then the boss chokes on something and continues to choke for a good 30 seconds. And the laugh track is playing, like, in the background kind of the whole time, which is terrifying. So I believe a lot of their storytelling is being placed through filming as well, like the way they film and capture the shows. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm sorry.
you bring up the way they filmed the show. The first two episodes, the aspect ratio.
Yes. Yeah. You noticed that too?
Well, I didn't notice it until the fourth episode.
Oh, well, I guess you wouldn't. Well,
Because
they did it at the end of the third episode.
Right. Like at the end of the third episode, I was like, hey, wait a second. This looks different. Then the fourth episode hits, I was like, oh, they really filmed it differently.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's the small details like that just bravo.
So speaking of that first episode, that was more of a filler episode in my opinion. It was getting you accustomed to Wanda using her powers, which in reality we've never really seen, because she hasn't been on screen that much. So the audience, every time Wanda did anything, it was big. Like Wanda never just used her stuff. Like she did it for, wait, no, she didn't even do it with Vision. Like she's always just like, let me throw this car at you. It's never been, oh, here's a coffee cup and, like, let me use it in regular life. So it was interesting to see them kind of normalize that. And also having Vision transform more often, and everybody knows that he transforms. In the fourth episode, he was transformed when Darcy, back into his human form, when Darcy recognized him. Did you notice that?
So I'm not sure the rules of the place, because it seems they have to put on his human face to interact with the public, but the public is aware that he can do superhuman things. And that sort of leads into the mystery of, what is this place?
Exactly.
Because you're right. He does go out in his regular Vision form, and
nobody says anything.
Right.
But then he also goes out in his, like just the regular human form, and the people in the real world know who that is in his human form. So like that's common knowledge, I would imagine. So why does he have to, like, it just, all of that makes me think that there is way more to this, him changing back and forth, than we know, because they do it so often.
Right. I'm sure there's going to be a plot reason for it. Like, just functionally, the reason is, that's a lot of makeup to wear for a TV show.
Exactly.
Right? Like that is a lot to do. So just having Paul Bettany be able to just be Paul Bettany is very convenient, but it also means you have to have a reason for it. And in the first two episodes, you're right, it's cute. It's, put on your face, dear. But I am worried because the rules Wanda is implying don't seem to affect. She's worried about keeping up appearances, but that doesn't seem to matter if he can super speed the doctor from the doctor's house to their house.
And that's another thing I noticed. I was like, hey guys, nobody's going to talk about the fact that the doctor just went super speed and didn't die. Like
well, there's also that,
like it's a lot to it, but like the doctor didn't notice that the baby earlier today was not a baby. Like wild things are happening in these episodes, and we don't know what kind of time thing that Wanda is doing in here, I would imagine, do we?
We know that time is affecting. There is time at play because it's a throwaway joke in the first episode, but the chicken and the egg thing.
Yes.
Like, it's a throwaway joke, but it's also something that comes up again and again with accelerating the pregnancy in her body to other things. Like, what are Wanda's powers?
That she does have a set of nebulous, easily controllable and manipulated easily manipulating, excuse me, can't talk today, powers.
Well, one thing I noticed in the fourth episode, when she actually in the third and fourth episodes, when she actually uses her powers, she does the thing with her hands that we see her do in all the movies. When she's just doing stuff to affect the environment and just the cutesy power stuff, she doesn't. So I'm wondering if there's two sets of powers at play here. Her standard powers that the movie is defined, and then whatever is allowing her to control this bubble.
Yes. Well, I think they kind of know what her powers are, which is why this is so weird to them in a lot of ways. Because, and we're going to, kind of bounce around a little bit between episodes, so just kind of stay with us. But in the fourth episode, they talk about the relic energy, which is similar to the Big Bang Theory, right? Which is how the Infinity Stones were made. Like, they know her power has, like, what it looks like. Why can't they understand what this force field is then? I would imagine S.H.I.E.L.D. has all the data, or SWORD has all the data on every kind of superpower nowadays. What do you think?
I think there's a reason that they can, you're onto something there. They can identify Wanda's powers. They can identify everything else, and there's a reason for that, because it's probably something that they haven't encountered.
Right. So watching this as a bit of a nerd, there are a few moments. So for the normal audience, and I don't like to say normal like that. Everybody at this point in the world is a nerd in something. But like an audience that is not caught up on all these things and doesn't read comics, they read it. They probably are reading this, as a nice jaunt. Meanwhile, people that read the comics are reading this as a horror film, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. Things are bad right now. LJ, wouldn't you agree? We should be raising the flag right now. Things are awful.
Even if you don't have a history with these characters, Wanda's actions at the end of episode 2, yes, episode 3, and episode 4 should be gigantic red flags, right? Like, she is exhibiting a level of control over this area, and she, from appearances, like just from the information that we've been given from these episodes, just wants to be left alone with her family and perfect life. That's what Wanda wants.
Be ashamed if somebody came in and messed all that up.
Right. So I don't know if Wanda's the protagonist. Well, rephrase. I don't know if Wanda's good. This might be the heel turn. I don't know. I'm here for the ride.
Them babies came real quick, didn't they?
Real quick.
That don't seem good. So they gave him the names too. Like, they gave him Wiccan and Speed's name.
Yes.
Like, this is not good, y'all. I don't understand how everybody else is, like, just okay with the fact that she blew Monica Rambeau out of a building. It's 3 buildings.
And I had forgotten that they had cast her as Monica Rambeau.
LJ, can I ask you a question before you say anything else?
Yeah.
Would a normal human being be able to get blasted through 3 walls like that and still be awake? And Marvel was very good with accuracy and things like this.
She'd at least have a concussion, yo. Like, they'd at least have to put her in the concussion protocol.
Come on, yo. Like, your eyes wide open, shook it all off?
Right.
All right.
And it's not like, because they make sure to show you in the 4th episode that she got thrown through stuff.
So that's the thing that bothered me. It wasn't that it was like one thing. It was like 4 things. She got thrown through 4 walls.
Right.
So.
And again, those who read the comics know Monica Rambeau, Captain Marvel, Photon Spectrum. I'm not sure what angle they're going to take in this show, but they made her Monica Rambeau for a reason, and it wasn't just to set up Sword. They made her Monica Rambeau for a reason.
Yeah, and she's clearly been to space before already as well. Like they talk about that in episode 4. Like, you know, you're grounded. Like, she's done space flights before.
Right. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I kind of wish, I understand why they had to make that announcement, but I kind of wish that they hadn't. Yeah. Because imagine the shock of the world when it's like, yo, this is Monica Rambeau. Oh my God, it's Monica Rambeau.
Oh my God, she was so cute in that movie. I need to go back and watch that movie. You know, the one that everybody said they didn't go watch, but still made $1 billion.
Hey man, look. I've said this on Twitter before. You ain't got to lie to kick it.
You ain't got to lie. Just go on and admit it. It was good.
I understand agendas. I understand agendas be agendaing. But, you know, same thing when Black Widow comes out. I get it. Scarlett Johansson's a head ass. I get it. And guess what?
That movie's still going to be good. It's still going to be good.
The movie's probably going to be good.
So
you ain't got to lie to kick it, man. I understand you got to perform in these Twitter streets. I don't have that issue. I am very 100% myself. I got to perform for nobody. I don't got to.
But LJ, I'm trying to tell you, that movie was awful, right? It was awful. Let me tell you how bad it was. It made $1 billion, and
just garbage.
Garbage. Get out of here, guys. All right, just be real with yourself. But yeah, these first 4 episodes have really set a tone that is keeping people off balance, and I love the fact that they are doing this week to week. It doesn't have the same impact if Now in Color, which is the 3rd episode, comes out exactly at the same time as the 4th episode. We don't have to, we get that uneasy feeling for a whole week.
Right.
And I think, go ahead.
It's how television used to go, right? Like folks have been so accustomed to binging, and binging has, you know, its benefits, but I've always been a fan of the slow burn. I've always been a fan of long form storytelling. I'm a fan of slow cooked collards. I don't need instant grits, you know? And folks wanted instant grits. Like they came to WandaVision expecting everything on the plate. And so after 2 episodes where they didn't know what was going on, they said, okay, cool, this is trash. I can just ignore it. Episode 4 hits and like, well, why is everybody talking about this? I thought it was trash. It's like, no, you just gotta be patient and let the story tell itself.
They just chopped a movie up. This is a movie. I don't understand why people are like I get why they are kind of nervous about the whole TV thing, and the episodes are very long. Like, I get all the complaints, but they gave them a movie budget.
Yeah, they did.
We ain't seen shit yet. Like, the big stuff comes now, because the fact that you bring Monica Rambeau in, you bring all these other, like, while they are C-list characters, they're still Hollywood actors. You know, like, these characters, and I'm talking about Darcy and what's the agent's name? Jimmy.
So over the pandemic, I binged The Office. So I can't say the actor's name. I can only call him Asian Jim from The Office.
Oh.
That was one of the funniest cold opens. But yeah, Agent Jimmy Woo, right? Yes. And Agents of Atlas Jimmy Woo, right? Like they're pulling people that have a connection to source material.
Yes. When you said Agents of Atlas, I forgot. Fantastic.
Like, yo, it's not like, I'm not saying Marvel will do this. I'm saying they can, because they cast a really good actor in this role. And just do Agents of Atlas show. You don't have to do the full Agents of Atlas. Just do him. Maybe throw in Luna Fox.
I mean,
Throw in Luna, throw in White Fox, and it's X-Files. Boom, there you go. That's a show,
and
right?
they could film that, and Marvel just has so many opportunities to expand upon this universe now. And I think Kevin might actually like this better. I would imagine him being able to tell long form stories and like fuck with people. Like I think Kevin Feige really likes to fuck with people. Like I think he likes to mess with his audience. There's a clip going around where one of the audiences asking him about Scarlet Witch at the end of Endgame, and the smile he gives when he says, "Oh no, she was gonna kill Thanos." Don't get it wrong. It made me think like, oh no, he enjoys doing every single thing that he's doing in these movies. And have you guys got a chance to interview? I know y'all did some press a while back, but I didn't know if you got to interview Kevin and them.
Oh no.
Okay.
That is outside of our scope, but yeah, man, he definitely gives off the vibe of someone that not only loves the material but loves what he is doing.
Yes, that's the best thing about it. He not only does he love what he's doing, he loves it to the point to where he's willing to kind of just push things along. He's willing to teach the audience how to enjoy things. Like he turned moviegoers into comic book heads. I want y'all to realize all y'all are doing is reading comics on screen. Like he made them adapt to like how comic book storytelling has been done for decades, and I don't think we'll ever see that again in our lifetime.
Yeah, like he taught the world how to read comics.
Yeah,
because that's all this is, right? And so you brought up manga earlier on. That's basically what WandaVision is: weekly chapters.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's all. Just waiting for Jump to come out on Sunday. That's all we're doing every Friday.
Listen, I'm not waiting on Jump to come out because Horikoshi needs to chill the hell out. All right, just saying that. That's a different show. Also, we were supposed to be doing the One Piece book club today. We will catch up on that. But Justin got me out here talking about One Piece in public, y'all. I cannot believe it.
If I have contributed nothing else to this space, it is that I am bringing all of these closeted One Piece fans out of...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that is my contribution to the world. Just getting it. Everyone has slandered it for years. Oh, it doesn't respect your time. It's too long. I turned one of the most avid haters. I just told them, just read this. It took me 2 weeks.
We'll talk about it on the show, but they just really did a disservice to that whole show with like 16 episodes. It just ruined it for me for life. But yeah, we'll check that out at another time. But I wanted to kind of break this up a little bit because now I want to get into the comic book side of things. So if you guys don't want to possibly be spoiled, I don't think it'll happen exactly like this, but this is some of Wanda and Vision's history because I know a lot of y'all were asking, which was lucky because now I have LJ on and he can kind of help me go through just, like 10 or 15 minutes worth of, Wanda and Vision's history. So if y'all don't want to get spoiled at all or don't want to know what the hell Wanda's capable of, be quiet. You leave now. Thank you so much. We will be back doing another half of this room soon. But LJ, why are we so nervous about Wanda having babies?
I think the main reason that we're nervous about Wanda having babies goes to the what we referenced earlier, House of M, the House of M storyline. Wanda in the comics essentially rewrote reality, right?
Yes.
Her brother Quicksilver convinced her to rewrite reality where all the heroes get their greatest desire.
That sounds good enough. That doesn't seem like anything would happen there. Yeah, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong, indeed?
What was Wanda's vision? What was Wanda's vision? I see what you did there.
Wanda just gets a family.
That sounds fair.
That's all she wanted.
She just wanted a family. I get it. You know, everybody wants to be loved, baby. I get it. But it's a problem when that family gets taken away.
Yeah.
And Wanda on WandaVision just got a family. And I'm not sure if they're going to be taken away, but I bet you things aren't going to go the way she planned. And then there may not be, well, maybe there will be mutants.
Well, so the defining moment of House of M is Wanda, after being confronted by the Avengers and the X-Men about, rewriting reality and all of the basically the Faustian deals that everyone's been going through. Like, oh, I think, what is it? Parker gets Gwen Stacy back.
Yes.
And that was wrong on so many levels.
Well, I mean, can we talk about the fact that Peter don't be knowing what the hell he's doing like 85% of the time?
Well, also,
he's all heart.
And the Avengers and the X-Men confront Wanda about this, like, yo, you can't do this. She has a nervous breakdown and utters the words, no more mutants. And depowers, what, all but 1% of the mutant population?
Yeah, 1% of the mutant population that there were no more mutants born after that, right? And,
right.
And I believe there was 1% of the population that kept their powers. We don't have no mutants in the MCU. But that's the level of Wanda's power. Like, I'm terrified that this whole series is a precursor to some terrible shit because where they're placing this is before Far From Home.
The other thing that makes me worried is they made a very big deal about saying that this is effectively the prequel to Doctor Strange.
Oh, God.
The Multiverse of Madness.
Who could be the big bad of the Multiverse of Madness?
So, the whole thing to me reeks of Mephisto. It reeks of, hey, I'll give you your greatest desire at a cost. I don't know if that's the way they're going to go. But that's the concern I have.
I'm not so concerned with Mephisto. I don't even like Mephisto is a big Thanos level big bad, right? But so is Scarlet Witch. Like, if you really think about power scaling, she's more powerful than any villain they've ever faced, except for Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. And even then, it was like, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Wanda was the big bad for multiple movies or multiple shows, however we do this.
Right. Like I said, I think we're watching her heel turn because Wanda has a lot of trauma. Wanda, her brother was murdered by Ultron. She watched Vision die in front of her.
She watched her family, a Stark bomb, like, killed her family, didn't it? Like, wasn't that bomb, like, the only thing when they was trapped under the rubble they saw was the Stark bomb? Like, I'm pretty sure that happened in Age of Ultron. So
yeah, that's why they hate Iron Man. Like, right, that's how Strucker manipulates the kids, because it was a Stark bomb that did it.
So,
which the other thing, the commercials, which I thought were just cool little throwaway gags, they're actually being broadcast to the outside as well. So now I have to go back and look at because I know one of the commercials was Hydra Wash, the other one was a Strucker Watch.
Watch. And we know anything from Agents of Shield. Strucker does love his watches, indeed.
I didn't even make that connection. Oh my god! See, again, it's one huge comic book. Like, this whole thing is just one huge comic book.
Yeah. So we'll be back in a little bit. I don't want to take too much more LJ's time up. Plus, I might be able to sneak in a round of Final Fantasy before I go to bed tonight. But I do want to thank you for coming out. You're more than welcome to come out for the end. I'm gonna try and have a few people on so we can make this a real party, and kind of celebrate or mourn whatever happens next in the MCU.
Look, I don't live in the MCU, so I'm celebrating great storytelling.
Listen.
What terrible things happen to these people, I'm just like, dang, that's messed up. Pass the popcorn? Yeah, damn, that's a damn shame, isn't it?
So yeah, and this has been stellar. Don't forget, y'all, we still got Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming out. So if y'all want, we'll be doing a review for that. And the Loki series is coming out, so if y'all want, we'll do a review of that. And then somebody asked me to do a review of the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. So I'll get some Star Wars nerds. Excuse me. Maybe I'll grab D-Palm, and we'll do that as well. So Justin, once again, thank you so much for coming out. If you could tell the people where they can find you at.
Hey, man, I appreciate you inviting me, and I appreciate you for having me. If you want to check me out, I'm on Twitter at LJ90. If you want to check out the podcast, ThreeFifs Podcast, ThreeFifs on anywhere that you get your podcast except Spotify. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. And, yeah, thanks for having me again.
No problem. And until next time, y'all, peace.